a move to Man City and Liverpool. And it makes sense. A player who's reaching the prime of his career, who's playing amazingly in the Premier League, is already Premier League tried and tested, being linked to big moves to teams like Liverpool and Man City, two of the biggest clubs in the world, two of the best teams in the Premier League right now. And if Mitoma went there, he could be a starter because he's that good. And if not a starter, at least in a team like City, at least be a good rotational piece, a player who would be getting regular minutes. Okay, the rise of Mitoma. We've talked about Mitoma here on the channel already recently. That video did very well. So let's do a deeper dive into Mitoma's career, how he came to become such a superstar at Brighton, and who else? Who better than the boy Nabuto to come through and do this deep dive on Mitoma. So without wasting any more time, guys, let's get straight into it.
Kaoru Mitoma is a student in Japan. Before we get into that though, we have to talk about Mitoma's youth because that's where his journey all started. Now Mitoma was born in Kanagawa, Japan and fell in love with football at an early age. He was really good at it too because he already joined the Kawasaki Frontale Academy at the U10 level. He was doing so well for the academy that when he was at the U18 level, he was offered a promotion to the senior team by head coach Yahiro Kazama. Instead, and what surprised the head coach, he chose the route of going to university and became a student and footballer at the University of Tsukuba. Now the reason why Mitoma didn't want to become a pro footballer right away is because he said he felt unprepared to enter the professional leagues at 18 years old. He even cited struggles of a couple of his peers who weren't doing so well after directly going pro, like Go Itakura and Koji Miyoshi. Those two were having a hard time getting regular minutes with Kawasaki Frontale, and Mitoma didn't want that same fate. During Mitoma's time at the University of Tsukuba, he had to write a university thesis, which is basically a question related to your degree that you have to answer using credible research and findings. That's when Mitoma decided to write his university thesis analyzing the art of dribbling. Mitoma is sensational with the ball at his feet and one
crazy. This is where all those memes begin, you know. But with Mitoma, you're already seeing a player of disability, a player who's able to pretty much at times just glide through defenders, make them look like they are cones. Who wrote his university thesis on dribbling? It's ironic. It's ironic. And it's definitely funny. It's ironic. But yeah, we'll carry on, and we'll see what else number 2 has to say. Sorry.
Main reasons why he's so good at it is because of his academics. The Japanese winger's research was focused on running with the ball while recording how he and his opponent reacted. He needed to find the best way to get past someone, so he wore a camera on his head and he observed what his eyes focused on while he dribbled. Then later throughout the night, he studied the data in front of a computer. He found a ton of things out about dribbling. The main points were that he needed to watch the opponent and the space in front of him and then time a shimmy perfectly to throw the defender off. He also realized he needed to rely on the change of speed to deceive the defender and create space. Clearly Mitoma was correct because this is exactly what he's doing in the Premier League while he's terrorizing every defender he has come across.
In the Premier League, in the highest level of world football. This is not just it's not a knock on Japanese football, but this is the highest level of football. Playing for a team like Brighton, who, you know, outside of your top 6. Actually, no, Brighton ended up in the top 6. My bad. A team like Brighton, who do not have the financial backing, the financial ability of your traditional top 6, were still able to get into the top 6. Were still able to get European football. And Mitoma is one of the reasons why. Mitoma is one of the corner pieces of this Brighton team. And I can only applaud this player, man. I can only applaud Mitoma.
After his 4 years at university, excelling in the football scene, he agreed a professional contract with a team that wanted him before, Kawasaki Frontale. He made his debut in 2020 and quickly established himself after the league resumed from the COVID-19 outbreak. He did so well for Frontale. Mad
in his first season. That's crazy. In his first season, that's crazy. 18 goals and 14 assists in his first season. That is tough.
18 goals and getting 14 assists in 37
That's
games.
tough.
His first ever professional season. And fun fact, he even became the first rookie to reach double digits in goals in the first division of Japan since legend Yoshinori Muto. Now moving on, playing top flight football at Kawasaki Frontale for only 2 seasons was all he needed to get noticed by the big leagues. That's because in 2021, Brighton signed Kaoru Mitoma for around 3 million euros. The agreement,
and this is where Brighton's scouting network has to be applauded. Brighton scouting network has been the best scouting network over the past 2 years. The way they've been able to sign before Bissouma, McAllister, Caicedo, I'm just naming the players that went this year. not the players that they were able to sell before. For these guys to identify this player of this quality in Japan and to bring him over for what, 3 million? I was just going through football news today, and I saw that Mitoma is now being linked with a move to Man City and Liverpool, and it makes sense. A player who's reaching the prime of his career, who's playing amazingly in the Premier League, is already Premier League tried and tested, being linked to big moves to teams like Liverpool and Man City, two of the biggest clubs in the world, two of the best teams in the Premier League right now, and if Mitoma went there, he could be a starter because he's that good, and if not a starter, at least in a team like City, at least be a good rotational piece, a player who would be getting regular minutes. The story of Mitoma is just amazing, and it's such a unique story as well. Like writing a thesis on dribbling, as we said, we already laughed about it, but it's such a different and unique story to him alone. It's what makes him such a likable player.
For a 4-year deal. However, the first year he had to be sent over to Union SG in Belgium. This was a smart and calculated move by Mitoma, because the Belgian league would be a good developmental step for him to get used to European football. And for his first season in Europe, he did pretty well. He got 8 goals and 4 assists for Union.
Yeah, not bad,
and even got 1 hat-trick in a comeback win over Serang, where he came off the bench in the second half. It's not the most exceptional stats for Mitoma, but they're still solid. Brighton really liked Mitoma's first season at Union, so they decided to keep him for the 2022-23 season. And then against Newcastle in August, he made his debut. Mitoma was a bench player for the first couple of months in the Premier League. However, in his first start in the
that did not last long.
Premier League against Chelsea, he managed to get an assist in a 4-1 thrashing. Then in the next game, he got his first goal for Brighton against Wolves, where Brighton won 3-2. It seemed like Mitoma was on a hot streak. However, this season had to pause right at this moment for the World Cup, where Mitoma was called up for the Japanese national team. Now, before talking about Japan's World Cup success, we have to go back to how they even qualified for the tournament. And believe it or not, Japan started off the qualifying process slowly, and they were at risk of not even making the World Cup at all. They pretty much had a must-win game against Australia, where they had to win in order to qualify for the tournament. The game against Australia was at a 0-0 deadlock for the longest time. Mitoma has never scored a goal for his country before. However, he was given the pressure to do so after he was subbed on in the 86th minute to make something happen. And
Mad.
3 minutes later, in the 89th minute, Kaoru Mitoma scored an incredible goal.
Mad.
First goal for your country. It doesn't stop there though, because at a time, Mitoma sealed it away with another goal for Japan. They confirmed qualification for the 2022 World Cup.
This guy is something else.
Now, going to
Something else.
As we all probably know, Japan had an extremely impressive tournament. They topped the group, which had Germany, Spain, and Costa Rica in it. Now, despite having a comeback win over Germany in the first game, they somehow lost to Costa Rica 1-0, despite Costa Rica getting battered in the first game by Spain 7-0. Pretty much, if Japan wanted to go to the round 16, they had to beat Spain in the next game. Now, after conceding early in the game, they equalized early in the second half due to the other Japanese star, Ritsu Doan. However, for the second goal, the ball was going out of play, but then Mitoma barely saved it, and Tanaka scored off that pass. The referee had to take a long look at VAR. However, the entirety of the ball was not out and just barely stayed in play. Therefore, the goal counted, and this clutch play by Mitoma is the reason why Japan topped the World Cup group. They did disappoint in the game against Croatia in the round 16 though, where they had a terrible penalty shootout, and Kaoru Mitoma was one of the players who missed the penalty kick. This World Cup seemed like the chance for Japan to do something special, but it ended in the round 16 stage yet again, and Mitoma felt insane guilt for this. In fact, in an interview after the game, Mitoma was seen crying and couldn't talk to the reporters properly. One of the reporters realized that Mitoma wasn't in a stage where he could talk properly and told him, "Your play has had a huge impact on the world. All we can say is thank you." And
So I'm saying, bro, I was just watching this player's choice, this player's choice debate, and they're talking about how important it is to play for your country, and how, some NBA players don't really feel the need to play for your country. They of course have their own right, but you're seeing for a lot of these Japanese players, this is a guy who's playing in Europe. He's one of the best players in the Premier League at the minute, one of the best wingers in the Premier League, and you still see how much it means for him to be playing for his country. So it's like how much these guys are willing to give for Japan, and it's just something beautiful to see. Again, it just makes Mitoma such a likable character. And, I've talked about how much Vinny is a likable player, how much Musiala is a likable player. And then you have Mitoma, but with Mitoma, as I said before, his case is so unique, so unique.
walked off crying. This was heartwarming from the reporter because clearly Mitoma needed to hear words of encouragement.
Yeah.
It also seems like Mitoma took those words to heart because ever since he came back from the World Cup, he's been on fire in the Premier League.
Bro,
He's
he
been
has.
one of the best players on the pitch for Brighton, and
Facts.
has scored 3 goals in the 5 games he's been back. He's so tricky with the ball at his feet, and it feels like no defender can stop him at the moment. He's truly on a redemption arc right now, and I love it. Mitoma is only 25 years old, and if he keeps up this form, I can definitely see a bigger club splashing the cash for his services for a few years. Because he
Yo, Japan
deserves it.
Japan are beginning to cook up something special over there, man. But anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching the video until the end. You're much appreciated. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, share. Do all those things to please help me grow this channel. As I said in all of my videos, this is only the beginning of something special. If you want daily football content, be sure to subscribe. But I'll see you guys soon.